Hi, welcome to Fire Flow with Core. So this is a really active and dynamic class, lots of core work today. So just take the bits that feel good for you. No pressure to have to do everything that's suggested. For some bits I'll lead you verbally, but I won't necessarily do all of it myself because it's not good to do lots of core work when you're pregnant. Yeah, feel free to take the options that feel right for your body, and I'll demonstrate what feels good for mine. So yeah, hope you enjoyed today's flow. A couple of cushions is all you'll need if you like to take reclined Baddha at the end with a bit of support under the thighs. So yeah, a couple of cushions for that. If that's in your practice to take a more supported version. Otherwise, no other props needed. So, coming to start lying down on your back today. And you can either decide to have the knees bent if that feels good and the knees can knock together, or if you prefer, you can open up the body completely to the ground. So going with what feels good for you today, whatever feels best. Now, before we start this fiery flow today, allowing your body to fill with new oxygen, with new energy. As you inhale, concentrating on the areas that are really useful for these kind of fiery practices. So maybe seeing if you can begin to fill the lower ribs. Really good if you're doing things like balances or core work. That leaves the core to be free to engage, but it still allows the breath to come deep into your body. So maybe seeing if as you inhale, you can allow the lower ribs to expand. And if it's in your practice, you may choose to use your Ujjayi breath at the start of practice here. So really good breath to warm up the body, get it ready for dynamic practice. So if you're taking your Ujjayi breath is coming in through the nose and out through the nose, feeling the breath at the back of your throat. And maybe taking a moment to check in with how you're feeling today, what's been going on in your week, in the past couple of hours even. Noticing how you're feeling on an emotional level, on a mental level. Sometimes we forget that yoga is a practice that involves all of these different elements of ourselves, including the physical practice of yoga. Sometimes coming into a challenging class, it can be good to set an intention that feels helpful, and also maybe holding the knowledge that it's okay to go with what feels right for your body today. Knowing that you can always come back to this class at any time because it's a recorded one. So the pressure is off to have to feel like you're doing anything in particular today or there's no standard to meet. This is just your practice and your body. So taking a few more inhales and exhales here. Maybe inhaling an intention for today's practice if that feels good for you. And then when you're ready on your next inhale, allowing your eyes to open and straightening out both legs if they're not already on the ground. As you inhale, drawing the right knee into the chest, interlacing your fingers behind the right knee and taking a little gentle stretch, opening up, drawing the right knee up towards the armpit. And as you're doing this, option to hover that left leg from the ground. So a little hover, maybe an inch or two. If you want to start off slow, you can leave that leg down. So option to be hovering that left leg if you want to. And then on your next inhale, straightening out the right leg, so it doesn't matter how high it comes, so you can keep that left leg hovering off the ground if you wish. So I'm going to leave mine on the ground today, but if you want to have that core work, hovering the left leg off the ground. And then from here, we're going to work on lowering and straightening this leg. If you want to add an extra core element, you can draw the head up slightly, so lifting the head off from the ground. So lifting with the core to lift your head up rather than with the chin or the forehead. And then if you want an additional element, you can bring the arms to the outside of your right leg. You can interlace the fingers, maybe bringing the index fingers together in front. And then from here, lowering and lifting that leg. So there are lots of different options here. You can stay completely on the ground as I am, lowering and lifting the leg. You can be hovering that left leg as much or as little as you wish. And you can also be lifting the head from the ground or taking that twisting and lifting. So options to have quite a significant amount of core work going on here if you want. And then when you get up here, allowing that left leg to come back down to the ground, taking a little rest. You can bring that right leg down as well. And then this time when we lift, we'll lift the right leg up to the sky, and then option to do the lifting and lowering on the left-hand side. So right leg comes up on your inhale, and then option here to lift and lower the left leg. As you're lowering it down, you're keeping that hover from the ground. An option to keep that lifted head and the twist over to the side if you wish. So wherever you are, taking your options on your lifting and lowers. If you prefer to stay with the right leg, of course you can do that. So that's what I'll be demonstrating here. But if you'd like to give a go with the left, you're welcome to do so with the right leg lifted. And then both legs back down. Okay. Drawing that right knee back in towards the body, interlacing the fingers behind, little stretch up towards the armpit here. And then releasing the leg just slightly, coming into a spinal twist. So just taking a little bit of pressure off the abs for a moment, warming up the back of the body, warming up the spine. So right arm comes out to the side, gaze over the right arm. And then as you exhale, drawing the left knee across the body, coming into your spinal twist. So this can go as far over as feels good for you. Allowing a bit of openness, breathing a bit of openness into your body. So with all of these core exercises today, don't feel under any pressure to keep doing them if you're feeling exhausted. Just taking which bits feel really nice for your body. And then inhale, find your way back to center, head comes back to center. And then drawing the left knee in, straightening the right leg out. So we'll come onto the other side and do the same on this side. So when you're ready, drawing the left knee into the chest, interlacing the fingers around, and then taking that little stretch up towards the armpit. On your next inhale, straightening out and lifting that left leg towards the ceiling. And then option if you want to have a go at hovering the right leg from the ground. So a little inch from the ground if that feels good. And then from here, we're doing the lifting and lowers of the left leg. You can keep that leg hovered if you want, or if you prefer, you can let that go back down. You can lift the chest, the shoulders, the head if you want, and you can take that the arms over to the outside of the left leg. So you can be lifting like this if you want with the right leg grounded. Or you can keep that right leg hovering from the ground. And of course, if you'd like to join me with having your body to the ground and just doing the lifting and lowers, feel free to do so. And then when you're ready, we'll bring that foot back down for a little rest. And then as before, there'll be an option if you want to do the lift and lower on the other leg, or you can stay as you are. So really feeling into what's good in your body. If you start to get discomfort in your hip flexors, sometimes they can start to cramp up a little bit when the leg's lifted from the ground for a long time, then feel free to just let it come back down. That's completely okay. So when you're ready, lifting that left leg up, and then if you want to take the lifting and lowers with the right leg here instead, then feel free to do so. So that'll be lifting the right leg from the ground and then lowering it back down to hovering it off the floor and coming back up. And you can join that one with your lifted chest and head and your fingers and arms over to the side if you wish. If you prefer to stay as you are, feel free to do so. So lots of options here. And they'll be getting into different parts of the core. So don't worry about which option you take. I guarantee that you're doing good core work regardless of which one you go for. So obviously if you're taking twist to the side, you're getting into your obliques, so that's working on the waist. And doing these lifting and lowers, they get into all of the muscles, the rectus abdominis and the deeper muscles as well. And then one last time, inhaling up. And then you can have a nice little rest on the ground for a second, drawing that knee in to the chest, taking a little stretch. And then coming into the spinal twist. So knee comes slightly away from the body as you do the spinal twist. Left arm out to the side, gaze over the left hand. And then drawing the knee across the body. You can roll up onto the side of the hip here if that feels good. And coming to take your twist on this side. One more breath in your twist. And then inhaling, coming back to center nice and slowly, gaze up to the ceiling, and then finding your way up to seat. So you're welcome to take a rock up to seat or come over to one side. If you're taking a rock up to seat, then you can either bring hands behind the thighs or hands to the ground, feet come over the head, and then up to seat. And then bringing the feet to the side, finding your way onto all fours. When you're ready, we'll be taking a couple of cat-cows. Inhaling, chest rolls through the arms as the hip lifts, coming into your cow. Exhaling, pressing through the hands as you tuck and round into cow. So coming through this twice more, inhaling, getting a feeling of expansion across the chest. And as you exhale, if you'd like to take a knee hover, then pressing through the hands, the tops of the feet, as you exhale, rounding the spine and hovering the knees off the floor. And then lowering the knees back down if you lifted them, inhaling into your cow. And exhaling, taking that hover if that feels good. And lowering down. Tucking the toes under when you're ready and pressing through the hands, lifting the hips into downward facing dog. And from here, taking a nice pedal through the legs, warming up the back of the legs. So maybe starting by bringing the right heel down, coming up onto the left toes. And then inhaling up onto both toes as the left heel comes down. So having a little play around here, nice and slowly if you're pedaling the feet. And then back to center, walking the hands back towards the feet and rolling up to stand when you get there. So you should be at the back of your mat now. here, option to come to play in a little balance. Don't worry if you're on a mushy, squishy, carpeted floor and you're feeling a bit unstable today. Just do the best you can with the space that you've got. So grounding down through your right foot first of all, and finding anywhere in the room that you can to focus on. When you're ready, lifting up through the left foot and interlacing the fingers around the knee. Keeping hold of that knee with your right hand. Left hand comes to your hip. And then if you want to, you can bring the left arm behind and gazing over to the side. And then back to center. Seeing if you can bring the hands to the waist and staying balanced. From here, inhale, arms reaching up and foot reaches out in front, flexing through the foot. Woo. Maybe have a little wobble. I'm definitely not as steady these days, so if you are wobbling, you're not alone. Pressing through, flexing through the foot, lifting up tall through the spine, and then back down. Okay, little shake out through the legs. So you'll notice that definitely wobbling is on the table for today. Feel free to do that at home yourself. Maybe you're very rock solid. We'll come onto the left foot now, so same as before. So this time lifting up the right leg, will interlace the fingers and then holding on with the left hand. So bringing the right hand to the waist and maybe you open up to the side. As you inhale, arms up to center, and then opening up, flexing the foot, kicking the foot forward, lifting the foot any amount. One more breath, and the foot comes back down, little shake out. Inhale, arms reaching up overhead. Exhale, down into forward fold, and then walking the hands back out to downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, coming up onto the toes and lowering the heels down. One more time, up onto the toes and lowering the heels down. And then shifting forwards into your plank pose and then coming down through your version of chaturanga. So feel free to take the knees down if you wish, or coming through full chaturanga. Inhaling into your upward dog or your cobra. And exhaling back into downward facing dog. Inhaling up onto the toes and exhaling back down. Inhaling up onto the toes, step, walk or float, coming to meet at the top of your mat in halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rolling up through the spine, arms come out to the side, reaching tall, and hands to prayer. We'll come through our sun salutation once more, so just to keep the heat in the body. Inhale, reaching tall, exhale, into forward fold. Inhaling to halfway. Exhaling, hands by the feet, step, walk or float, back to plank, coming through your version of chaturanga. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. And exhaling, downward facing dog. When you get there, inhaling to the toes, exhaling back down, and then inhaling, finding your way to the top of your mat, into halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, rising up to stand, arms reaching tall, Exhale, back to mountain pose. Coming through once more. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, straight into forward fold. Inhaling to halfway. Exhaling, hands by the feet. Option to float through chaturanga here if that's in your practice. Otherwise, coming through whatever version feels good. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. And exhaling, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, the right leg lifts up into one-legged dog. As you exhale, right knee to right elbow, coming forwards, almost into a plank. And then crossing the body with the right foot to bring it over to the side. Spinning onto the flat edge of your left foot so that you've got your left foot fully grounded as your left arm lifts up, coming into a kind of alternative side plank. And then exhale, spinning onto the back toes, left hand comes back down, right leg comes back up into your one-legged dog. And an option to bring that right leg down or shift forward, taking a plank with one leg lifted. You can come through your chaturanga one leg lifted or bring the foot down and come through as normal. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Big sigh out through the mouth. We'll come through on the other side. Inhale, left leg lifts up into your one-legged dog. As you exhale, left knee, left elbow. Bring in the left foot through the body, over to the right. Bring in the right foot flat as you lift the right arm up towards the sky, coming into a kind of a plank twist. And then right hand down, spinning onto the back toes, back into one-legged dog. An option to come through your chaturanga lifted, or just taking your one leg plank and then foot comes down and coming through as normal. Upward dog or cobra on your inhale, and downward dog as you exhale, sigh through the mouth. On your next inhale, stepping, walking or floating, coming to halfway lift efficiently at the top of your mat. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bending the knees, rising up into chair pose. As you exhale, coming down, bending knees further, arms reach out in front, coming into almost kind of a chair squat. So gaze straight down to the ground. Inhale, back up to chair, onto the tiptoes. And then arms back behind, lion's breath. Inhale, rising up on the tiptoes, reaching tall. Hands to prayer and back to mountain pose. Giving the legs a little shake. And then legs, feet nice and wide. Exhaling, wide leg forward fold. Taking a couple of breaths here. When you're ready, bending your knees. And we're going to come into a kneeling position. So you might want to step back to all fours first of all. And then walking your hands back. So a couple of options here. Either to take saddle Or if reclined hero's pose feels comfortable for you, then you're welcome to take that. So if you're taking saddle, hands are coming behind the body. And then you can do a couple of lift and lowers, or you can hold in the saddle if you prefer. So with saddle, we're kneeling, and then we're lifting the hips on an inhale, as far as feels good. Maybe the head comes back. And you can do that a couple of times, a couple of lift and lowers if you want. So really stretching out the abdominal muscles here that have been working hard. If you'd like to take reclined hero's pose, then you're coming to sit in between the feet. So being really mindful, if this doesn't feel good on the knees, coming straight into the saddle instead. So sitting like this for a moment. If it's not good on the knees, hands either side, into your kneeling instead. If this feels good here, you're welcome to either stay here, or if you want to get that opening through the front of the body, and you're feeling sort of good to come back, then you can come back either onto hands, onto forearms, or if it feels good, you can come all the way down to the ground. So if you're coming all the way down to the ground, I would say just really gently coming down, tucking the chin, so not having too much side to side movement. So finding a place that feels good wherever you are. Taking a few breaths here. Maybe you're doing those nice opening lifts through saddle. Maybe you've come all the way down in your reclined hero's pose. So allowing the front of the body to open up. We've done a lot of work closing the front of the body, crunching in. So this is all about allowing the front of the body to open and lengthen. One more breath wherever you are. If you come all the way down into your reclined hero's pose, then coming up onto the forearms, making sure the chin is tucked, and then really gently coming up onto the hands, and then bringing the hands either in front or to the sides to come up into your kneeling. If you've been in your reclined hero's pose, you might find it feels quite nice to just take a quick downward facing dog. So pressing through the hands, lifting the hips, and just finding a little bit of length, opening up the legs for a second. And then bringing the knees back down to the ground. And from here, you'll be glad to know we're now moving onto our backs, winding down practice. So grab a couple of cushions if you'd like them for Baddha Konasana. We're going to take a reclined one today. So lowering down onto your back. When you get there, separating the knees, bringing the soles of the feet together, and then you can fill up that space, supporting underneath the thighs if you'd like. And then maybe the arms come up overhead. Palms resting one inside of the other, elbows out to the sides. And again, feeling a sense of openness in the front of the body. Taking a few breaths here. Maybe you allow the eyes to close, getting a sense of drawing inwards as the practice is coming to the end. And checking to see if there's any holding in the front of the hips, in the hip flexors. If there is, maybe seeing how you can create a little bit more space there. Is there any way that you can let go a little bit? Opening up for one more breath in this pose. And then when you're ready, a hand under each knee, bringing the knees together, moving any cushions out of the way. And then separating the feet, taking a little windscreen wiper with the feet. And then finishing off here, either with a happy baby pose, or if you'd like to take an inversion, you're welcome to come into shoulder stand or into plow. So yeah, option to go with whatever feels good, or you can pop legs up the wall if you just want to have that feeling of inversion without going too far. If you're not taking your inversion, then coming into happy baby, arms coming in between the knees and then holding on to inside or outsides of the blades of the feet. And maybe you allow the eyes to close in whatever position you've chosen. One more breath in whatever position you've decided to take. If you've taken an inversion, really slowly coming out, lowering down one vertebrae at a time. And if you're in happy baby, you can release the feet and then bring the feet to the ground. Once you get your feet to the ground, inhaling, drawing the knees into the chest, wrapping the arms around the shins, drawing the forehead to the knees. And exhale, opening up, releasing the legs. We're coming into Shavasana, final pose of today. Getting really comfortable, using cushions to support you if that feels good, allowing the feet to open, the hands to open. And allowing your eyes to close, maybe taking an inhale into the body, filling it up with breath, all of those spaces that we worked on at the beginning, the lower ribs, deep into the lungs. Exhale, deep sigh out through your mouth. Total release into the mat. Maybe taking a moment here to acknowledge and accept a feeling of gratefulness for whatever it is that your body's been able to do today, whether it was the versions that felt a little simpler, whether it was the versions that felt a little like there was a little more going on, whichever one you took. Well done for taking what was good for your body and for listening to your body. And now allowing your body to become heavy, to be open, and to be fully supported by the earth. It doesn't need to do anything else. Just to be is enough right now. Taking a few moments here to rest at the end of practice. Thank you for joining me in this core intensive fiery flow today. I hope you enjoyed it and it felt really good for your body. Namaste.